the cards that they have in the other decks, I don't think will do very well against Rogue.
Okay, well, let's find out what they do. It's a tough one because I'm looking at Alutemu's secondary deck, and there's a second Blood Cell Corsair, and I'm like, the first Blood Cell Corsair is actually removed, so I don't even think he could afford to change that, as the weapon hate completely goes to 0 for him if he did. So I'm assuming both players are going to be sticking. So let's see what happens. A double Miscreant in the opening hand. I mean, it's just a given at this point. But Flurry's hand, prep raiding party with Miscreant, he can do.
You know what he's missing, right?
I don't know.
The leader of the Brotherhood.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Alutemu's health being on 0. It was the only thing he's missing with this hand. But this is looking mighty fine for Flurry.
Yeah.
And honestly, he could still coin Miscreant, and if he draws Van Cleef next turn, it's
Yeah,
still a very good Van Cleef, because he could even Shadow Step the Miscreant, which
And
is a
throw an extra-
completely, for what about an extra +2/+2? Whereas Alutemu's hand is just...
Altemu's hand is going to be kind of difficult to work with. He might be looking at a turn 4, perhaps Deadly Poison to activate either the Miscreant or the Raiding Party, and that'll let him at least combo it out. He could also choose to play the Raiding Party this turn just to get the Pirates in hand and get something going there. He does have Deadly Poison already, so he can develop a weapon in that sense if you'd like.
Yeah, I think I like this because if he draws a Corsair, it becomes cheaper with the Deadly Poison anyway next turn if he feels he needs it. So he doesn't directly need to draw a Waggle Pick, and... in a roundabout way, because Flurry's running double weapon removal, if he equips a Waggle Pick, it's often deal 4.
Yep.
And maybe get the Corsairs out cheap. But it's not as crazy as it is, as consistently in some other matchups. But we see now Flurry just going out with the Miscreant, and now he has more options. It's the Witchy Lackey and the Goblin Lackey there.
Ooh.
Along with the Faceless, with the Shadow Steps, is just so sick.
Yeah, Lackey Generation is powerful, especially in Mirror. If you keep having stuff to do before someone starts going face, eventually when that face race starts to happen, if you have more stuff on board, you can oftentimes just come out ahead because you have some extra repeatable damage.
Also, I've got a key question for you, and I'm not sure if you heard that this came up in Worlds, okay?
Yep.
The minion on the far left, what is it called?
Oh.
Not the actual name of the minion, but what is the animal that it is?
It's tortoise?
Okay. Apparently I'm the only one who says tortoise.
Tortoise?
Yeah, and everyone says tortoise, and I did not realize that was a thing. So it's just add it to the shaman list as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
But yeah, I was just wondering. I'm trying to find it. You're Canadian, so I was trying to see if there was any other regions or places that were going to join me.
No,
on
just
the way you say it. But no, as always, I am alone in most things.
Okay. Prep Raiding Party come out from Flurry here. It's turn 4, so we can equip the Waggle Pick with the free Raiding Party being played.
And already, the only light at the end of the tunnel that may be here for Alutemu is these Discovers from the lackeys, because already I'm worried for him.
I think I want to see Flurry trade off the Oasis Snapdraw here. If Alutemu has his one of weapon removal, so Flurry's seen that Alutemu played Raiding Party just naturally on 3 to draw two Pirates, and he's seen one of them being played, the deckhand, so it's possible the other one could be weapon removal or it could be a Dread Corsair. I'd like to see him trade the Snapdraw away so that if Alutemu's weapon removal comes out and bounces back to Witchy Lackey, you can reuse the Witchy Lackey to upgrade one of the minions on board again. But if you trade off the Lackey here to push 1 extra damage and you bounce the Snapdraw back, sure, the Snapdraw can be played for 2 mana, but I believe the benefit of having the extra Witchy Lackey on board is better.
Yeah, and also 0 mana Witchy Lackey, which means you can actually just play it, that plus more stuff the following turn. But yeah, I completely agree. I do really, really like this trade. I feel like Flurry's been playing very solid. He's had some strong hands today, but still, I think his play is just very, very solid indeed. But Alutemu is going to be needing something magical, to be honest.
He needs to do something here. I think he's going to start with the Lackey. Oh, interesting. Walk the Plank, actually, in both of these players' side decks, but not in their main decks. Stolen Steel's a little slow. Violet Haze doesn't do a whole lot either. You want, I think Alutemu is looking for something that can be used to fight for board, and neither of those two do that. Walk the Plank is the only one that can actually...
I think as well, Walk the Plank with because it's expensive in the Rogue mirror, in my opinion, but when you can draw prep, suddenly it becomes prep, Walk the Plank something, so it's a cheap removal, and then you can continue to develop, and those other 2 options were just not nice. I think Alutemu would have loved Backstab, Eviscerate, just anything cheap and cheerful that gets the job done. Oh.
Alutemu taking a bit too long to decide what to do here.
I'm going to guess he did not finish that turn.
No, I believe he wanted to trade the deckhand and his weapon into the Dread Corsair to kill it off. it's rough having these sorts of hands where you kind of figure out I need to find some way to turn this hand into a win basically. And Alutemu ended up deciding on going for the raiding party activation there to draw the Dread Corsair and the Waggle Pick to get a swing turn, but by the time he made the decision, he wasn't able to make the final attacks to kill off the Dread Corsair, and Flurry quickly taking advantage of this by just preparation would have been a good card to have here.
Honestly, this is not the first time just this weekend, week 1 of Grandmasters, that we've seen rope get burnt and things missed. And the problem is, I agree, it was a tricky turn because Alutemu needs to have like a 5-turn plan to win the game right now. He can't just make one good turn. It's not enough. And it didn't exist. But even if it doesn't end up being the best turn, you need to have one full turn and not half a turn, which what it ended up to being. Because if he'd done anything else that was actually a full turn, it would have been better than that, right? Yeah. Anything would have been better. So I think it's important that the players that may be struggling with this, and maybe even players that aren't, and they might run into it anyway. It's a very difficult situation they're in. But I think you need to maybe even just practice being decisive.
You need to pace yourself a bit better. Yeah. Interestingly, Alutemu goes for the Ethereal Lackey here. I would have liked to see Waggle Pick with the double Dread Corsair, which he's doing now. Okay, this makes more sense then. I wanted him to play Eviscerate to deal with Captain Greenskin, but it looks like he's opting up for the Bloodsteel Corsair instead of using the Eviscerate to get rid of the weapon and bounce something back to Flurry's hand.
And maybe even bounce the Greenskin, which after the weapon's been destroyed is almost as good as an Eviscerate anyway, because it becomes a much lower power minion to replay. But, Alutemu has had a really good turn there, and then you've got to think, if he actually finished his turn the turn before, he would be way further ahead.
He'd be in a great spot.
Because he could have guaranteed the bounce as well, because the Dread Corsair would have actually died.
Right.
And so he wouldn't have had to swing the weapon into it, right? So, I don't know.
There are a lot of cheap cards in Flurry's hand right now. With the Edwin pickup, he could try to go for that. I believe Alutemu is only running 1 sap. Actually, Flurry is... they're both only running 1 sap in their primary lists.
Is the walk the plank from a few turns ago going to be the MVP in this matchup?
He might not even opt for for playing the Edwin. He's looking at the problem with the Bloodsteel Corsair here to get rid of the weapon is that if you bounce the Lackey or the Bloodsteel Corsair, so that's not the worst thing that could have been bounced. Obviously, Flurry was hoping that one of the Dread Corsairs had been bounced to take some tempo off of the board. But if you bounce an Ethereal Lackey, that's just an extra card generation. If you bounce the Bloodsteel Corsair, it means later on.
This rope's getting close! Is this going to be a fair 50-50 of who's not finished their turns?
No, I believe he got it off.
Yeah, he got it. Okay, so I thought he was potentially going to go for a more complicated turn.
Oh, okay.
But no, he just went for the, still good turn, but just straightforward, just bam, 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 done. I didn't know if he was going to try and use the lackeys to get some trades off instead.
Yeah, he would have needed more time for that.
Yeah.
Looks like the Walk the Plank is going to come in handy. There's no prep in hand, though. So that's going to be 4 mana if LT wants to do that this turn. And honestly, he probably has to. I don't see a way he gets through this otherwise.
Yeah, and not so bad because the Lackey was left alive, which means that it just trades into Greenskin and you leave 3 power on the board. That's not so bad, and you can play your own Miscreant as well.
Yep. It's not a bad turn. The problem is Alutemu is still going to be on the back foot after this. Snapdraw and Bloodsteel Corsair aren't, the most aggressive, powerful minions, but when you're at 16 health, any damage starts to matter, right? A Leroy will just end up killing you. Another Vis, perhaps.
Waggle Pick.
Waggle Pick. There we go.
Does have the
Corsair?
Bloodsteel, though.
Yeah. So Flurry does know that there's a 0 mana Bloodsteel Corsair in Alutemu's hand, so he has to kind of plan around that. Interesting. None of these options seem to be quite right. I guess Wanted is the one you want the most because it can be used to fight for board. So Flurry dumping his hand here, being very aggressive, trying to finish the game out this way, and if it doesn't work out, he still has the Myers to fall back on and try to draw enough burn from the rest of his deck to conduct the game.
And even, Waggle Pick's all good and well if the second charge gets removed by Bloodsteel Corsair, but if the first charge kills you, then
good enough.
Enjoy your Corsair in hand, it doesn't matter anymore.
Raiding Party not going to do a whole lot, neither will Headcrack. Blade Flurry, interesting enough, might be the best of these options. There's no weapon equipped just yet, but you can dagger and use Deadly Poison to get a 3 damage weapon, which could help him clear up the board.
With Backstab, he can actually clear off the the Snapjaw as well.
Right. The
You
problem
can
is
backstab trade
the
go.
problem is that's your entire turn, and what you're left with is a 1-5 and a 1-1. But maybe that's just what you have to do.
It's better than leaving Flurry with anything,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Because like
true.
you said, 9 health, he's just dead. So
You have
he'll
to do
take
something.
3 and go into just Leroy lethal range. Nothing you can do about it, though.
Yeah. For Alutemu, Leroy is not a card that exists right now. In his opponent's hand.
Yes.
Alright, Blade Flurry making its first appearance in Grandmasters.
Against Flurry himself,
Yeah.
who is named after Blade Flurry.
So Alutemu recognizing he needs to stop all possible damage coming in, or at least push as much tempo as possible, so he's throwing out the Bloodsail Corsair to remove the hero power from Flurry, knowing well that a Waggle Pig could come down and just bonk him on the head.
This Waggle Pig's clean now because he knows the Bloodsail's back down again, so
Wanted.
Flurry can do pretty much whatever he wants because I don't even know how Alutemu claws back.
A Life Drinker could help him stay alive.
The problem is the health differentiation
Yeah.
between 28 and 2 is so big that, okay, Life Drinker, taunt and kill the weapon. Flurry's
That's a
probably
lot.
still got time to actually, even if he does all that, Flurry's got time to deal the damage anyway.
He's going to shift here to find the Life Drinker. If he can't find it, he can at least use the Witchy on the Miscreant to try to find a taunt, a Proud Defender perhaps, an Omega Defender. Senjin Shieldmaster.
He's just got 2, hasn't he?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see him just launch everything else and then set up the Edwin and say, alright, I need to close this out right
Might
now.
even backstab the 1-1 after the hit. Just to make it. Sorry,
Yeah.
this is obviously way better. I'm stupid. But yeah, I meant just use up the backstab on your own minions.
It's not a taunt minion.
Nope.
And with that, I think there is no way out for Alutemu here.
If there is, I don't see one, and neither does Alutemu. And that's going to be the series. Flurry taking the Rogue Mirror in a 2-0